I get asked this question frequently because the noise reduction system has become so popular. The book, Make the Noise Go Away, is selling so fast that people are saying, what's the buzz? Why would I want to go through that? And what value would come from a second command going through a class like that? The question is so frequent, and the answer is broad. But the core reason why the noise reduction system is valuable is because a first in command can end up doing what they do best. And you know, I've done a tremendous amount of research over the last few years, and I found that the majority of first in commands are spending less than 25% of their time doing what they do best. And every one of them that I've talked to have great talents and great skills and things that they can do that bring great value to them and those around them, especially financially. But when they're doing what they do best 10, 15, 20% of the time, that usually means there are hundreds of thousands of dollars that are being left on the table that they're not going to get to. You know, I asked a guy one day, as a first in command, I said, you know, would you pay me $1 million to not go through and not put your second in command through the noise reduction system? He said, well, there's no way. Well, then I asked him, I said, what percent of the time do you do what you do best? And he said, about 15%. And I said, if you could get that up to 50%, just 50% of your time doing what you do best that brings the greatest value to your company, what would that be worth? He did the math, he thought through it, and he said, you know, I think it's worth about $1 million, $1.2 million. And I said, so basically you're saying you're writing $1 million, $1.2 million check to not go through that training. I showed him the material. We went through every one of the documents and looked at all of these training classes, and in each one he could see 2, 3, 4, 5, 8% of improvement of time and quality in his life so that he could do what he did best if a second command actually learned those principles. It was very clear to him. If somebody just went through half the class, he would be able to get the value at 50% of his time of doing what he does best. I had one first in command that had gone through and quantified the value of a few $100,000 to his business if he did what he did best. And he said, but I can't put my second in command through the class because they're spending so much time doing other things. They don't have time to get to a 2-hour class once a month. And the homework that's required outside of that. I thought for a second, I thought that just doesn't make sense. So I asked him, I said, $350,000 is what it's worth to you? And he said, yes. I said, if I came to you today and said, I have a solution for your organization, a program, a new invention, a new product that could make you $350,000, but it's going to take 2 hours a month of your second in command for 10 months to put this plan in place, would you do it? He kind of paused for a second. He said, I guess it's a pretty easy answer. 2 hours a month, of course I'd put him through and have him do that. I said, well, that's all the noise reduction system program has, is 2 hours a month, plus some things that they're going to do back at the office during the month that are part of their normal operation. Well, on top of that, most of the training has elements of how we free up their time. We have activity transfer sheets that teach them how to transfer some of their work to other people. We have different motivational tools that show them how to focus their efforts on the things that they do best as well. So much of this class is about freeing up their time, but at the end of the day, the real question is this. If you can get $300, $500, $1 million to your business, and someone brought you a program that could do that, would you not ask your second in command to spend a couple hours a month? I think I would, and most people that think of it that way, they would too. You know, the best way to quantify this is to start with you as a first in command, and think about what are those things you do that bring the most value, that create the most revenue for your organization. Spend time writing those down and understand them. Then check on and look at the percent of time that you spend doing those things. Now, whatever that percentage looks like, and typically it's 25, 15, somewhere in the 25 or less percentage. Once you take that percentage, figure out what would it look like if I could spend 50%, 75%. I'll tell you that the experience that we have, the majority of first in commands end up anywhere between 60 to 80% of their time doing what they do best once they've had somebody go through the full noise reduction system, a second in command that goes through that training. So ask yourself about what you're doing, what you do best, what percent of the time, quantify what is that worth, And then look at the time of your second in command and figure out what they're doing and what that 2 hours would cost you. I tell you what, I've not seen anybody ever go through the math and not clearly see that 10 months of training for the return that they can get is absolutely worth joining the noise reduction system.